The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, what do you know? We kind of went dead. What happened here? There we go.
The monitor's not working out here, but hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ, and I'm having a problem with my earbud.
And it's Monday. What
a headache of a day, a headache of a weekend. And Friday, I think, was something that maybe shocked a bunch of people in city government, including the two. The Standard & Poor's downgraded the state's bond rating. And our partners over at the State House News Service, they said, with the sluggish revenues testing Governor Charlie Baker's ability to balance investment needs with fiscal prudence, one of the country's largest credit rating agencies on Friday downgraded the state's bond rating with an admonishment for its approach to savings.
you think when our legislature knows we're in a financial hole, it's kind of like the city of Fall River, and they give themselves $35 million worth of stipends. Yep, I think they're a little fiscally irresponsible, right. Don't you?
I agree. And you know what's funny? The state treasurer foresaw this. In a phone interview, Treasury official said she hoped the downgrade would not negatively affect the terms of a planned borrowing on June 20th. Treasury officials plan to issue $500 million in new bonds and $285 million in refund. Taxpayer!
But then again, they're so used to it now. They become insensitive. But, you know, I guess we're going to have to divert some money from streetscapes now to fix the bullet holes on South Main Street?
Yeah, well, before we do that, we received an email about the flush and about this bonding issued from Jean St. Pierre, who is a political activist and community activist here in Fall River. And he says, interesting that the bond rate was lowered. Not sure, but can that have a negative effect on city bonding? Don't some of our bonds get state backing, meaning doesn't that the state in some of our bonds act as co-signer under the guaranteed loan program? Also, with our coming budget and what happens to be inflated expectations of revenue, even he saw it. Okay, I can see our reserves being tapped. You know what reserve, the $3.5 million Samuel Sullivant had created, left behind, and $500,000 in the administration added. I know the mayor claims to have $4 million under his watch, but the reality is $500,000 of which he added the balance was left over from the prior administration free cash. He's right.
He said, correct me if I'm wrong. You're not wrong, Gene.
Nope, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're right. It is going to cost us more because it's like your credit rating. When your credit rating goes down, you can't get low interests.
That's right.
So our bond rating went down. We're going to pay more for bonds. But who cares? They're not paying for it anyway.
No, and I think I have to take a second thought about, not like I need them, but a second thought on Coney Island hot dogs, unless I bring my flak jacket with me, you know?
That's right.
And it's not funny because my niece was there when that happened. And, there's people going to work, people are going to buy some food, and all of a sudden there's a gang-related shooting, if it's a gang-related shooting, alleged gang-related shooting, that occurs on South Main Street. The Herald News didn't report on it this morning. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Not even
online. That's because they're still making it here.
Yeah.
They're making it up here.
Yeah, exactly. So let's make it here, Fall River. Let's bring the gangbangers in next. Okay?
That could be part of our new branding thing. Come to Fall River and learn how to duck bullets on South Main Street. Maybe we can convince them to go up to the Flint and share the wealth, huh?
Yeah.
I see. We have a representative of the Flint there in the control room with you, CJ. So maybe we can convince them to go up to the Flint. No.
Well, no. The Flint was smart. They got rid of all their Coney Island hot dog places. Yeah. There are no more up there.
It's kind of like we're trying to to make a little light, but the fact is it's really serious problems. This city has degenerated into a into fundamentally a war zone.
Yeah.
I mean, between the drug addicts, the gangs, and of course, if you talk to people, that we have none of these problems because we whitewash everything. Now you got gangs shooting it out on a main street in city of Fall River, and there were a few, civilians, innocent bystanders
In the
that were
line of
nearly
fire.
killed. Your niece was one,
Yep.
and then I was told that the girl who works at the Coney Island place, the bullet just missed her also.
Yeah.
One of the bullets, one of the numerous bullets that was fired, barely missed her. Look, when are we going to stop with the crap of trying to pretend that if we put a facade on a building and fix the street, that people are going to come here? You don't think people know?
No,
I talk to people in Somerset that are afraid to come over the bridge. They go,
Oh, I
I'm not
know.
going to go over there. Like, that place is a war zone. And it's like, you think you're going to bring people in with a facade? Well, you got to put away extra money to fix the bullet holes periodically. And, they're not going to come. And the people who live here don't have any money because you take it all away from those who work. And the rest of the people you're importing don't work. When we talked about on our last show, I believe you talked about, the people you met who were from everywhere,
Right.
except Fall River.
I put that in the weekend flush too. We're importing them here for
Yep.
detox and everything else, and then these nonprofits kick them out into the street, and they say, "Oh, we don't have to do payment in lieu of taxes because we provided a necessary service." No, you don't. You are depleting the city's resources.
Yeah.
And my opinion is, if they don't want to pay in lieu of taxes, then they should have to pay for every police call, every fire call, every EMS call out of their pockets, and it's got to stop somewhere.
Yeah, well, something just popped into my head. How about if we say we make this ordinance? When they administer Narcan, they found out where the person who they administered to and whose lives they say were originally from.
Yeah,
And if they weren't from Fall River, Bill Starr.
that's it.
And say, what rehab did you go to? And, ironically, we're talking about that. I had a conversation with an individual who is running for office or contemplating running for office yesterday about this issue that we talked about on Friday.
Yep.
And I told him, I said, the legislature created this monster where it's beds as needed, and we end up with people getting taxi cabs and rides to Fall River and dropped off like stray dogs. And then when they're turned loose, they don't go back. I said, how about getting our useless legislature, who is very good at giving themselves pay raises and running up the deficit? Why don't we change the law and say, if we can fund them to get to Fall River, when they're finished with their treatment, send them back to where they came from. If they came from Leominster, when they're done with their treatment, send their butts back to Leominster.
But the problem is this: 9 out of 10 of those people that are stuck here have not completed their treatment. What happens is they get kicked out of the programs for infractions. And I'm not even going to get into whether the infractions are valid, not valid. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is the fact that they were kicked out of the programs because they had infractions, and then they're kicked into the streets. And that's the problem.
Well, so what, CJ? If they got kicked out,
Send them back.
Kick them out, find out where they came from, and send them back.
Right.
All right, they complete the program, send them back. They don't complete the program, send them back to wherever they came from with a little note saying, did not complete the program, so he's still a junkie. Have a nice day.
Yeah, exactly. And, the governor of Maine put in place legislation, and he's trying to get it passed right now, that if you use Narcan more than once, you're billed. You're responsible. Not your insurance company, you got to pay for it. And you know what? I think Massachusetts should do the same thing. Because it's multiple doses. It's not one dose of Narcan and they pop back. Because of the overuse, like any other drug, of this drug, the body's building up tolerances to it. So what happens is, what used to take 1 dose, then starts taking 2, then 3. I heard of one recently, 6 doses. 6. After 5, I'd say, hey, you're done. You're cooked, baby. But hey, This is the way it is.
Well, you know, everybody will say that, you know, that's being insensitive, that's a radical approach. It's not really radical.
No.
When you think about what other countries do that have far less problems, you know, I know in China when they execute when they execute prisoners, they charge the family for the bullet.
Yeah. And they sell the organs.
Then they harvest the organs
Yep.
and give people who are, you know, contributing to their society a new chance at life. They harvest the organs after they pop one in the back of the head, you know, and they harvest the organs and then they charge the family for the bullet. So, you know, that may be a little, you know, difficult for Westerners to deal with, especially the ones who want to give everything to everybody. But, you know, and in reality, they don't give everything to everybody because the rich don't really suffer. They're not walking down South Main Street. You know, they're living in Padnaram or or Barrington or you know, somewhere even more upscale than that. You know, it's.
Now, you know, moving on though, you know, because I agree, you're right, it is kind of radical, but here we go with Massachusetts legislators trying to create Massachusetts as a sanctuary state. And here's how they sling the bull. They call it the Safe Communities Act. It's an act which restricts what law enforcement can do. Okay? And also remember, we already have a revenue problem. If we do this, this state can lose substantial amounts of Department of Justice funding, public safety money, you name it. And this is what they want to do, because why? It's some libtard Democrat who wanted to introduce this, and that was State Senator James Eldridge. And he's the Democratic senator for Middlesex and Worcester County. Okay? And it says in Section 1, it says, this act shall be known and may be cited as the Safe Communities Act, which is under Chapter 126 of the General Laws, is hereby amended by inserting after Section 39 the following. Give me a break, all right?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm sure that he got himself a couple of nice bumps with that $35 million pay raise.
Right.
And they don't live in our world. And as you said, CJ, this sanctuary means send us everybody that's going to tax the system even more. We're going to get criminals. We're going to get people who are drug addicted, and we're going to get people, well, we may get people that will work, but then what do when they work? They undercut the wages of the people who are trying to work legally, because, I mean, we know that there was an issue with that mill at the end of Alden Street, the old LB file,
right,
with no, I'm not going to, I'm sorry, I apologize. I should hit myself in the head for that. For saying that, because that's their euphemism for changing the fact that these people are illegal. Illegal. They are illegal. They are in this country illegally. So we make it sound a little bit less illegal by calling them undocumented. You know, we could come up for a euphemism for sociopathic murderers too. But that would not change the fact that they're sociopathic murderers. So they're illegal. You know, you can try to rationalize it any way you want, and I don't want to hear about the some that, you know, their contributions, because it doesn't change the fact that you got there here illegally. Because if what you did after you got here illegally is a criteria for forgiveness, maybe some of those Nazi war criminals should have been forgiven, because they could have promised to go work for the Red Cross for the rest of their life rather than killing all the people they did. So that's crap. That's crap, and it's about people who got a lot of money who don't have to suffer the consequences of this. These people who are doing this to us are not going to realize what happens to our welfare system and our social systems in cities and communities that are inundated with these people. Because it's not going to be Newton.
No.
It's not going to be Wellesley.
Nope.
It's going to be Fall River.
That's right.
It's going to be New Bedford. It's going to be Lawrence and Lowell and
That's right.
Brockton.
Because to quote City Councilor Steve Camara, we're a gateway city. We should open our hands to everybody.
That's right.
Okay, so let's have all the terrorists come here. Let's have all the illegals come here. Let's have all the dredges of society. Let's just make Fall River a wonderful place because guess what? We can make it here.
We might as well, yeah, you're right. we might as well let them in because, look, they want to make this place the shooting gallery of the state.
Yep.
So it's going to be
in more than one way.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
True. Nice one, CJ. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, you're right. We have to be a little bit more specific. I mean, shooting of drugs, illegal drugs. We're going to create Fall River as the place where you can go and take your drugs without worrying about it because it's going to be a safe haven. Guess what? I still haven't figured out how my taxpayer dollars is subsidizing the government's use of a building to ignore the fact that they're bringing in illegal drugs into that building.
The best part about it is they're supporting illegal drug sales because where are these dealers going to set up shop?
That's right.
Right out in front of the building.
Yeah, they may have, they may put up, I know a lot of the malls are closing, but we may have a new mall, the Heroin Mall.
That's right.
Right outside of Fall River.
Right outside of Heroin Highway.
That's right, right outside of the safe haven.
That's
because
right.
that just makes absolutely no sense.
Nope. No,
You're trying to get rid of this problem, and what you're doing is you're
subsidizing
making it safe for them. So to me, I don't, maybe it's my opinion, but you are basically enabling these people and condoning their drug use. Well, let's make it as easy as possible for you to overdose and not die. Let's give you a place where you can go and stick a needle in your arm without getting arrested. And then we say, oh me, oh my, this problem won't go away. Gee, I wonder why.
Well, the election season is dead for the most part because nobody's actually doing anything.
Yeah.
You have 14 people running for city council, including Brad Kilby is now going to seek a return to the city council. That doesn't even qualify for a primary. Okay, and then you have, 5 people? 5 people running for the school committee.
Yep.
Okay, so that doesn't qualify for a primary.
Again, no primary.
Okay, the only thing that's going to qualify for the primary is the mayoral race because that's got 8 candidates.
Whoa. What a debate that's going to be.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one because you're talking about Richard Branco, the mayor, the 2, City Council Vice President Linda Pereira, City Councilor Richard Cabaceres, Emmanuel Pestana, never heard of him, Louis Cabral, don't know, he's 19, really not familiar with him except here from BCC, and of course Patrick Higgins. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. And according to the Board of Elections, the only 2 people who have turned in their papers and had them certified was Michelle Dion and, is it Dupree? Yeah, Dupree. Daniel Dupree of Spencer Street. So again, it's not going to be as volatile as we were hoping or we wanted to see, but this is the way it is. It's Fall River at its best as usual. I guess Dr. David Weed announced his retirement, and he's leaving Fall River a little healthier, according to the Herald News. Yeah, I guess that extra heroin just does the kick for you.
You could have fooled me. We got the highest diabetes.
You've
got the highest diabetes rate in the state.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know. Maybe we have to exclude a few of these things like drug addiction and diabetes.
But what's very interesting is, you got our local businesses down on Main Street offering a side of lead with their hot dogs.
That's right.
Lead poisoning, and that type of lead poisoning kills.
I'll have a Coney Island with a 9mm.
There you go.
Chaser.
357s just are out these days, unless you're using the exploding points, in which case you're all set. But he's leaving, he's retiring, and again, this will be his grant runs out, I guess, in June, which means his job is going to end. Now, he used to be a state employee at Corrigan, so I'm sure with the 10 years that he put in with the city of Fall River, he's probably going to be quite qualified for a superannuation pension. So it will be very interesting to see how that works out. Weed's 70 years old, by the way. Oh, and by the way, he does not live in Fall River. He lives in Warren, Rhode Island. I guess our residency requirement, because they still haven't kicked Faust Fiore out of the government center because he's not a city resident. And he's past the 18-month mark, too. I guess our city council has no backbone in it whatsoever. So.
Well, it's amazing because, you look up the road to Boston, Menino ran on a residency, and he enforced it.
Yep.
And it created a lot of consternation up there. But some of those unions fought for a long time, went without contracts, but they ultimately all, he stood up and he got it. And the taxpayers of Boston, that's the reason he was elected, reelected, and reelected.
Well,
and if he wouldn't have got sick, he'd probably still be the mayor.
That's right. But you know what? We won't see that in Fall River. You know why? Our current administration hires everybody from Rhode Island.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So, that's not going to happen. And I doubt Falsfiore is going to lose his job anytime soon because the city council has no backbone. They don't want to enforce their own ordinances. This is the problem. So it's okay for the administration to violate the law, but if you or I violate the law, we can expect to be fined or arrested.
yeah, what did that article in the Herald News say about, money is what makes it here, and it talks about,
Oh, that's the Mark Dion column.
no, this was Will Richmond.
Oh, Will Richmond's
when he said, none of the companies that provided the services for the Make It Here campaign were from here. The campaign and video were handled by Rhode Island companies. The equipment was brought in from Canton. So what message does this send? We want you to locate your company here. We want you to pay taxes. I'm not sure about that because they give most of them tips. But we want you to move your family here. But when a man wants to make a splash, don't expect him to find your phone number, i.e., very true.
Right. Right.
Very
But
true.
you know, this is
and when
the
you
problem.
want somebody to work on your rehab of your mill, you hire illegal aliens to do it. There's nobody sitting around the Union Hall down on Pleasant Street and on Bedford, the carpenters and the laborers union. There's nobody sitting down there waiting for a job. I'm sure there's nobody unemployed in Fall River that needs a job. We needed to bring in these illegals.
Hey, man, I don't need your job. Okay, I'm all set.
Right. Yeah.
But, this is the problem we have. We have rampant crime, and you have people walking around with these blinders on. We have unemployment. We have drug addiction. With drug addiction, you have the state turn around and say, oh, we're going to support this. We're going to make sure that these people can get their drugs and go inside and shoot up without a problem. We have a state that can't even get its own savings accounts in order, that they're going to dump our bond rating, which means that Fall River's bond rating is going to get dumped. Even though Moody's said we're going to take out the negative outlook, I'll bet you they're putting that negative outlook back on right now, because guess what? This is a problem. Now, Moody's did not drop the state's bond rating, but Standard & Poor is the preeminent bond rating company. So when you look at this, they're going to say, hey, we're going to offset this a little bit. Moody's says, okay. Standard & Poor says, no, we're still going to give them a rate increase. And that's what's going to happen. You know that. If you go to the car dealership and you have crappy credit, don't expect to get that 2.9% interest rate or the 1.9% interest rate on that new car. You're going to get 14, 15, 18. Some people get 20%. It's not cheap.
Christ, that's usury for G. There used to be laws against that. But you're right, CJ. Look, but the problem is it never gets better because we never, ever boot these people out. They give themselves pay raises. They run everything in. And like you said, Milton Friedman was right, the milkman, when he said you give them the Sahara Desert, they'll run out of sand in 5 years. No matter how much money we give them, they run it out because they allow them to spend this money. We need a city council that will finally tighten the purse strings and make them prove that they're spending this money for the benefit of the taxpayer, to fix our streets, to make this community a place where you can get a hot dog without getting shot at, or be in the middle of a gun battle between rival gangs. And, we need to get people jobs. We need to create apprenticeship programs for people. There was just something on the national news about coal miners.
Yeah.
They taught some of these people some computer programming skills that went along with the mining industry. And they interviewed him. He said, look, I'm not making as much as I used to make in the mines. He said, I got a job, I'm making a pay, and I can increase my skills and go on from here.
Yep.
And that's what you got to do. Yep. I will say this. You can't rebuild Fall River without rebuilding its foundation, and its foundation is made up of working people. This is a blue-collar town. You cannot fix this city with streetscapes or any other scape. What you need to do is do what you
Yes,
do.
you can. Cheapskates.
That's right, cheapskates. You got to bring Fall River back. When Fall River, people worked in mills. They didn't have the greatest jobs in the world. They
No.
worked in the mills. They worked on road. They worked on construction.
Piecework,
they
baby,
worked-
piecework.
But guess what? There were 9 restaurants between Stafford Square and Bogle Hill on Pleasant Street. There were clothing shops, furniture stores, not used furniture stores
That's
like
right.
we have now. There were stores all over the city. Why? Because people had paychecks.
And they wouldn't be a plethora.
That's
of,
right.
Of,
Do not listen to political promises.
That's right.
This election demand solutions, not
does.
promises.
And you know, I wonder what our state elected monarchy and our local elected monarchy would be if a state law was passed that all pay raises must go before the voters.
You mean like it used to before the Halloween massacre?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
Yep. Hey!
The legislature's not going to pass that law. You know how that'll die so fast?
They don't have to pass it. The voters can start an initiative petition to make it happen.
You mean like electing judges, and that'll go, they'll say, oh, no, you need a
Constitutional amendment,
Like term limits. Oh, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, I know.
You can't do, look, you
Because
can't.
the people don't have the right. They don't have rights.
There's only one way to fix it. Put people in Boston who will support these things.
That's right.
Put people in Boston who say to you, I will go to Boston and I will advocate that every pay raise I get, you have to approve.
That's right.
And I will not spend any money unless you approve it. And if he doesn't, hold true to his promise, boot his butt out and get somebody else in.
Right, exactly. Well, we're coming to the end of our show. It's been great. We'll see you on Wednesday, and hopefully you're ready to go with us.
That's right. Stay angry, everybody.